Today, I want to create 3 cards using one simple shape, which is my circle dies. And these are just basic circle dies, nothing special about them. They don't have any special stitching, anything. They're just basic circles. And then I'm also going to be using the May Crafty Crew Kit from Crafty Stamp Co. And I've gone ahead and stamped out some of the images and colored those in. And for the first card that I'm creating, I've gone ahead and created my little sentiment banner. And for it, I have colored in the other pig in the stamp set. I think he may be a chef or either the dishwasher. He's holding up the pots and pans. And then I have colored in the cupcake and the mittens. And I've also gone ahead and picked out 2 pieces of paper from the paper pack that I want to use. So for my first piece of cardstock, I'm going to cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5. Then for the next piece, which is going to be the background in the very back of everything, I'm going to cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4, just like we do for any A2 size card. So my card today is going to be A2 size. And I'm going to lay these scraps aside because you'll see I'm going to use them later. So I'm just going to pull out my circle dies. And like I said before, these are just very old basic circle dies. They don't even have the special stitching anything. These were some of the dies I first purchased when I got my die cutting machine over 12 years ago. So I have a new one now, but my first die cutting machine. And so I wanted to just pull these out because when you do just get started with die cutting, you can't afford all the fancy dies, and just using your basic dies. I like to show how you can just use basic supplies. And also I want to pull stuff out from my stash and use it because it's just sitting there. And so today I decided circles was the shape that I wanted to use. So I'm just going to figure out what size circle I want on the bottom right hand corner of my cardstock. And so I'm just going to lay it there. And what I'm doing is I know that I want to put my sentiment across there, but I want my sentiment to start at the right edge and come across over the circle. So I'm going to make sure that my circle is not too large and that it's going to fit just fine. And I also laid the pig in there to make sure that the pig is going to fit as well. So once I have decided on my circle size, then I'm just going to use a little bit of washi tape. And I'm going to try to put it here in the inside the circle, most of it, so that when I run it through the die cutting machine, it doesn't stick to my paper and peel off any of my image, the dots on my paper. I try to use washi tape that's not really strong as well, and they do make special tape for this, but to be honest with you, I try to use what I have, so I have not purchased any of that tape because I have so much washi tape from back in the days when I created a lot of planner pages. I used tons of washi, but now I don't use it as much, so I'm just going to use it to hold down my dies. So here you can see we have a partial circle cut out of our cardstock. And today's cards are very simple. It's just ideas that I either saw on Pinterest or just came up with out of my head and wanted to create. So for this one, I saw this one on Pinterest. It was a totally different style card, but I like the idea of cutting that circle out of the corner. So I decided that that's what I wanted to do. And then I think it looks really good with all of these dots. This paper is so cheerful. I love how bright and happy it is. And I know I've mentioned in another video, I absolutely love the colors in these papers, the turquoises and the blues and the reds. Those are my colors. So you can see here, I've gone ahead and glued down the larger dots. And then I have my pig there that I'm going to pop up with some foam tape. And then I'm just going to add all the little pieces that I stamped and just fussy cut by hand. I'm going to go ahead and add those to my card. I'm just going to add them around him. I like to do things in 3s. So that's what I'm doing with these. And for these, I colored everything in with alcohol markers. And if you want to see how I colored the pig in, you can see, well, it won't be this exact pig, but I colored in a pig in my unboxing of the Crafty Crew Kit. Also, by seeing the unboxing, you can see everything in the kit. And like I mentioned before, this kit is only available for pre-order through April 15th. So you can see the card in the background. I actually forgot that ribbon came with this kit. So when I was creating that card, I finished it up and then I was like, wait a minute, we have ribbon. So I'm going to go back and add ribbon to this card as well, because I created these cards both in the same day. But if you want to see what that card is about and how I created it, the one in the upper right hand corner, I do have a video on my channel creating that card, and that was last Friday's Fun Fold video. So be sure to check that one out as well. I'm using the Crafty Crew Kit for it as well. So for this one, since it's an afterthought, I'm trying to decide how I'm going to put the bow on my card, but I really love this gingham red ribbon, and so I really want to add it to this card. So what I'm going to do is I have a piece of scrap ribbon left over from where I used it on that other card. So I'm going to just find that little piece. I save all my scraps, especially with these Crafty Crew kits. You have this bag so you can put all your bits and pieces back in the bag and pull them out when you want them. So I want to make it look like that I wrapped the ribbon around my cardstock. So what I'm going to do is just cut a piece of that scrap down. I'm just cutting it at an angle on each side, and then I'm just going to glue it across the first piece of cardstock, and then I'm going to attach the bow on top. So for the flat ribbon piece, I'm just going to use my Tombow glue to glue that down, but you could use your Fabri-Tac as well, and I think tape runner will work with this as well. I didn't even think about tape runner tape when I was doing this. So here I think that's going to look just like it's kind of wrapping around the piece of cardstock. Now for the actual bow, I'm going to just use some Fabri-Tac to stick that bow down, but you could also use some hot glue to do that as well. And I think this card is absolutely adorable. I love the little pig on it, and I also love how the bow just really embellishes it. And this little stamp, it says secret ingredient equals love. You're going to see that in my other video, if you check out that Fun Fold card, I use that sentiment again because it's one of my favorite sentiments from this set. Okay, so it's time for card number 2. So for this card, I'm just going to go through and pick out some more paper, and I'm just going to use scraps left over from the first 2 cards that I created, the one that's Fun Fold Friday and then the one I just showed you. So I'm going to use those scraps to create the next card. So since this is almost the size that I need for my card front, I'm just going to use this one. But first I want to make sure that the way I colored in the pig, it's going to match this piece of paper. And I think it matches really good. So then I'm just going to pull in one of these blue strips that has the white dots on it. I'm just going to use one of those for this card as well. And then I'll put everything back up. So for my first piece, I want to cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. Once again, just like any A2 front size card that you make a background, most of the time it's 4 by 5 1/4. And so for this strip, first I want to decide what size circle I'm going to use on this card, because this strip's going to have to run through that circle once it's cut out. So I want to be sure that I go ahead and pick out the circle so that I can cut my piece of cardstock to the right size. So I think this size circle may be good. And I'll see how it fits around the pig, because the pig's going to be inside the circle as well. And I just want to try different sizes to kind of get an idea which size that I like. So the circle that the pig is going to be in is going to be a little smaller, so I'm just trying to decide if I use this size for my outer circle, what size would I need for the little pig, and make sure that everything's going to fit and work just fine. So now that I've decided on my sizes, I can go ahead and figure out, and I'm going to be using, this one measures about 2 5/8. And so I'm also going to pull out a piece of blue cardstock that's going to be my card base. I thought this color blue that I had in my stash looked really good with this paper pack, so you'll see me using that quite a bit during this month when I'm creating with this card kit. So before I do any cutting, I want to go ahead and add my piece of cardstock to the front of my card. And I'm going to go ahead and point out, because I know the mistake that I made. So when I added glue to the back of this piece, I should not have added it to this where I was going to cut out the circle. You can save paper and reuse some of your cut pieces if you do not add glue through the whole piece. And you'll see in a moment what I'm talking about. So then I'm just going to put my circle die on the front of the card, and I'm going to put my circle more towards the top of the card. I'm not going to center it from top to bottom. It's going to be centered from side to side, but more towards the top. And then I'm just going to run this through my die cutting machine. Now this is my newer die cutting machine. I started out with a Sizzix years ago, and then I have the Platinum now, but I love both of them. Okay, so here's what I was talking about. When you take this circle off, if you don't add glue to the center of your card base, so if you don't add glue to that piece of cardstock in the center where you're going to cut out the circle, then you could use the blue piece. So instead, I'm just going to have to cut out another circle for that piece, which is fine. I'll just use the same size die and everything will fit just fine. And then here I'm going to cut out my pig in the circle. Now I was kind of thinking I was going to add the sentiment somewhere on the side of the pig here, but I do later change my mind. But the pig, even though he's not centered on this, I'm still happy because the way he's leaning, I don't think that he had to be centered in the circle anyway. So now I've brought in a piece of cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and then my strip of paper that measures, which I never told you the measurement for that strip. So the strip measures 1 3/4 by 5. So then I'm just going to take it and lay it on the inside of my card with the back side of the strip facing up. And what I want to do is have it right up against the fold line of my card, but not right up against. You want to have just a little hair in between that and your piece. But you can see here, the card will still fold up, which is not going to matter later on. But for now, you can see that the card will still fold up with this piece up against the edge there. So there's just like a little hair there, like maybe not even a 1/16 of an inch there, just to leave a little space between the crease of the card and this little banner piece. So then I'm just going to take the extra that's hanging over and I'm going to fold it back. It's on the left-hand side. I'm just going to fold that back, and then I'll bring in my pressing tool and just give it a good crease. And then I just want to press down really good on this to get it glued down really tight. So now that I have that like I like it, what I want to do is I want to come in and just cut out the end so that it looks like a little banner. And then we want to just add this piece to the inside of our card. So I'm just going to add glue all over the back of this piece. And I'm just going to attach it to the inside of the card. And I'm just centering this up from side to side and top to bottom, just like you would do any card front. I'm just doing the inside the same. Then I want to bring in that blue circle, and I want to stick it back in the hole where it came from. So I want to make sure that it's going to line up everything. So I'm just testing it, and then I'm just going to add a little glue to the center of that circle, and then I'm just going to stick it back in that hole. And what it's going to do is it's attaching to that inside banner piece. And then once we have that glued down good, I'm just going to attach the little pig to that piece as well. And you want to be sure you center him up good so that when you close your card, you'll be able to see him. And then in order to close the card, I'm just going to take this little banner piece, stick it through the circle, and there. It's kind of like a little locking mechanism for your card. But as you know, I love different fun folds and different techniques for cards. So I thought this was a fun one. I saw it on Pinterest and I thought I need to give it a try. So then I'm just going to stamp the sentiment on the inside of my card. And so I'm using my stamping platform so that I can get everything lined up. But as you can see, I've been stamping with this, and there is a bit of ink on the edge. So I got a little ink there on my banner. So now I'm trying to decide, do I cover it up or do I just keep this card as a sample? I thought it was really cute, and I was disappointed that I got the ink on it. But here is the completed card. Let me know in the comments below, for that little bit of ink there, what would you do? Would you just use the card? Would you cover it up with something? Or would you just keep this as your sample card and create another one for someone? I haven't decided yet, but I would love to hear, because you all have so many good ideas all the time. So let me know what you would do, how you would fix that, or would you just let it be? So this is my second card. I really love this style card. I see lots more of these cards in my future. I love how it turned out. So I'm giving you a close-up view of that ink so you can give me an idea if you have any ideas. And is there a way to clean ink off like that? I have no idea. But here it is. I love how it locks the card together, and I love that little pig on the front. So let's get started on card number 3. So what I'm doing is I'm going to cut out 3 circles. But 2 of the circles I want to have stamped images on the inside of them. So before I cut them out, I'm just lining them up on the piece of white cardstock that I'm going to cut them out of. And I've gone ahead and taped my dies down. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp my images onto these circles, because if I try to do it after I cut them out, then it's going to be hard to hold them down and line them up inside of my platform. So that's why I've done it this way. Now I'm just going to lay my 3rd circle on there, and I'm going to cut it out as well. Now I don't want anything stamped on this one. This one's going to be left plain. So I have the 3 circles, and then I've gone ahead and picked out my cardstock that I want to use this from the paper pack, and I'm just laying out the circles to kind of get an idea how everything's going to look, along with the little girl on the front. And I did color this one in with alcohol markers, and then I just fussy cut her out with a pair of scissors. So I want to go ahead and add some background paper to these circles. I want to frame them out a bit more, and I'm going to use the blue paper, but first I need to decide what size circles I need. So you can see some of these fit inside of each other, so those will be perfect. So those 2 will work great. And I'm trying to figure out the little one, what size fits it. So that works great. So all I need to do is find a circle die that fits the largest circle and cut that out as well. So I'm just going to go through and figure out which ones, and that's what I like about these layering dies, is that they have different sizes so that you can, you know, mix it up some. And this set was really good. Like I said, I bought it many, many years ago, and so it goes up in small increments so that you have a lot of different sizes. So once I figured out what size circles I needed to outline my circles, then I went ahead and cut those out of the blue paper. So now I'm just going to add the white circles to their background blue circle. And the images that I stamped on these, I'm not going to color in. I'm going to leave them black and white. And off camera, I didn't show you, but I went ahead and added a little cupcake to the sentiment circle as well, because I felt like it was a little plain. So I added a little cupcake to it as well. And now I've got them all layered up. It's time to add them to the card. So I want to lay them out and get an idea of how I want everything laying when I glue it down. So I'm just going to make a little cluster of circles here. And once I kind of get an idea of how I like them, then I'm just going to glue them down. So I'm just trying to get an idea of how everything will fit along with the little girl. I don't want her hair to cover up the sentiment, so I'm just trying to figure out how to lay it all out. So once I get it all laid out, then I'm just going to glue everything down. So I'm going to start with the largest circle at the top, and I'm quickly doing this because I don't want the glue to dry, because I want to be able to slide this circle up under that circle as well. So I'm just going to do that quickly so I can get it up under there. And then I'll add the smaller circle on top of those, on the edges of those. And I keep bringing my little girl in so I can make sure that everything is going to line up correctly. I want her to be able to be on there, but I don't want her to cover up any of the images or the sentiment. And this is a cute little sentiment. Life's short, lick the bowl. I think that's adorable. So also on the back of her, you can see when I layer her up, she's going to be sticking up on those layers of circles. So her top of her head and the bottom of her feet are going to be stuck down further. So instead of using foam dots, I don't want to pop her up. I'm just going to add some scrap cardstock that I was left over from cutting earlier, some of the strips earlier. And so I'm just going to add that. And it's the paper pack that from the kit. It was just scraps left over. So I'm just going to cut a few of those little rectangles out of those and add them to the parts that's going to be sticking off of the circles so that she kind of lays flat. And then I'm just going to add her to the card. And then I'll add the card front to my card base. And this time I am using a white card base. I felt like with all of this red, and I added a little bit of blue on top, but I just didn't want blue around the edges of the card. I think the white looks good with this paper. So I'm really happy with how this card turned out, but then I remembered again, I have the ribbon. So I'm going to go pull out the ribbon again, and I'm going to create a little bow to add to the front of my card. So when I create bows, you can see here, lately this has been the easiest way for me to tie a bow. I create 2 loops and then I wrap them around and just tie those together. This seems for me to have a pretty bow every time, so that's what I've been doing lately. In the past I tied them differently, but this has been working great. So I want to add just a little bow up there at the top. I felt like it was a little empty above the wording, so I thought the bow would make it really cute. So I just need to trim the edges off a little bit. And then I'll just add it to the top there using some Fabri-Tac. Now I did turn it over because I'm not really sure which side of the bow I like the best. I kind of like this side better, so I'm going to use it and then I'll attach it. Now you could use Fabri-Tac. I have a lot of Fabri-Tac because I'm a junk journaler and we use that a lot in junk journals. But if you don't have Fabri-Tac, just use a little dot of hot glue, and you could use a little bit of double-sided tape. That may work as well. I haven't tried that, but sometimes that will work with some fabrics. Okay, so I have the bow attached to my card, and this is my completed card. I love how this one turned out as well. I love the ribbon in the kit this month. So this is my 3rd card. So here's the first one we created, and I didn't put a sentiment on the inside yet, but I really love how this one looks as well. I love these little pigs and the colors. I know I've said that over and over, but I do. And then here is our little banner card with the little locking mechanism to close it up. And then the last one that we created. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed seeing me create these cards today. And I hope that it has inspired you to get out your paper and craft. And don't forget, the kit is available through April 15th. I will link below to the kit, and also Crafty Stamp Co. has lots of other items in their shop. So be sure to check out their shop. That will be my affiliate link, and I really appreciate you using my link to shop, even for the kit or just for a paper pack or 2. Either way, it really helps out my channel and it lets them know that I sent you. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.